Hello and welcome to Big Scott 35 Nerdy Thursday. Uh, so this is my first one. If you've been around my channel, it's been a long time since I've done anything other than cards. But after I showed my apartment, and the cards I do show, a lot of them are Batman, Star Wars. With my baseball cards and other sports cards, I have uh, a great love for other things. Not as much as my cards, but Star Wars is a close second. I would say, and Batman. I'm in both of them. I'm very selective on what I purchase. Believe it or not, there's just so much Star Wars stuff out there. If you collect it all, Star Wars, you kind of know, like, there. I am very strict on what I collect. Batman, I pretty much stick with the 1966 Adam West stuff, which is the first thing I like to show. I talked about it a little bit. I did a no card November. Today's first day of December. I don't have any plans. I have gone on PWCC and put in stuff for Sunday's auction, but not a lot. Just to answer your question, Andrew, if you watch this, and welcome everybody to this new another side of Big Scott 35. I picked this up this week. This is the Batman 66. They call it the Classic Series. It's a McFarlane. So it's the Joker in black and white. A lot of TVs in the 60s were in black and white. I also have a Batman in black and white. This is it's a great replica. You can see on the back. That's the person that played it. Geez, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Caesar something. He made it. This was his big role. I do have the Batmobile, of course, over there. This one, and I also have the Bat bike. But yeah, and I don't pick up all of these. I just pick up the ones like Batman. I miss the Robin. I mean, I can pick it up anytime I want to. It's not like these. I don't really go after. It's like, oh, I see them and I'll pick one up. This type of thing. I won't go hunting on eBay or anything like that looking for them. At least I have not as of yet. I don't have any want to. It's just one of those. I don't want to say impulse buy, but it's oh, I see it. I don't have that. Yes, I have the funds to purchase it. You go through that whole thing and pick it up. And into my video game world, I am trying to finish up Valhalla, the Assassin's Creed latest before their new one comes out in 2023. I also have a long list of games. I pretty much only play on weekends. I don't have a lot of time on Monday through Friday because when I start playing, I just don't want to stop. And I'll lose a couple hours a day just in that. But that's just how I am. And again, I'm single. I can get away with things like that. I have friends that just cannot, and they love the video games, but the family comes first, of course. So they only play little snips here and there and things like that, and they get mad when I tell them how much I play. But also, I have a life outside of all of this. So, it's when I can play, I can play. And I like to cut out some time for that because other people like to sit down and watch movies and stuff. I rather sit down and play a video game. I watch movies and stuff when I'm doing my cards and always have something else going on at the same time. But I'm going to do a sort of a book report today. I showed I have two bookshelves. One is dedicated for Star Wars. I'll probably have to get a second one. That's how many books I have. I haven't read them all, but I like to pick them up in the hardback cover. I don't like to wait for paper, but I like to get the hardback. So sometimes, I'm not the only collector. So if I want to get a pristine, crispy one, I just go ahead and buy it when it first comes out, and that way I know. I don't have a list of them, so I have bought them twice. I do have a couple with alternate book covers and stuff inside, because sometimes a book will come out, and it'll be like Target exclusive stuff on it or Walmart exclusive, even Barnes and Noble exclusives I've seen. So they'll have a different insert cover, poster inside. I don't go after all of them, but I have gotten a couple that I liked. So because of that, but I read this. Well, I want to be honest. I got this in Auto. I had it for $6. I drive 30 minutes to and from work. Drive a lot on Thanksgiving holiday. So I like to listen to, I do books and I listen to podcasts a lot. So I listened to this one, Galaxy's Edge Star Wars, Black Spire by Delilah S. Dawson. But I also have it in, so I can have it in my collection. Yeah, it's a supposedly an adult novel. It's a very loosely, and I know a lot of people say, well, Scott, it's a Star Wars book. Is it really adult? Yes, it is. I read it, so it's an adult novel. Now they do, and I say that, so now I need to clarify. So they do adult, older teen, or young adult, I think is what they call it now. Teen and grade school, I think is the. So I usually read all the way down to grade school, and the ones in grade school, sometimes they do add, like, I have some in the older collection, and they do add something to the canon, and they're part of the canon sometimes. So I just purchase them to have them in my collection. It takes, even me, I am not a very, I love to read, but it takes me, I'll have to read something. My mind will start wandering. I have to go back and read it again. But, I can sit down and read, and I love it. I'm just not the fastest reader in the world. I think I would have been diagnosed with ADD if I grew up in this day and age. I was just a rambunctious kid. But so with that being said, I guess I'm rambling on. So this book, if you're familiar with Star Wars at all, Galaxy's Edge is the name of the Disney World and Disneyland Star Wars attractions. So this book was made for you to have an understanding why it's there, what the characters are that's there. So this book is, the story in it is good. It's not great. It's good. I'm glad I didn't have to read it, because I think my attention span would have really, I'm a completionist, so I would have read it all, but it would have took me a while. The writing in it is very, I would say, not overwhelming. You could tell it was written for a purpose, and the writer, I don't know if the writer felt it or was forcing things, but the dialogue between characters was very, I don't know, it wasn't very original. It wasn't, sometimes it made me laugh because I couldn't believe that's the corny stuff that the characters were saying between each other sometimes. And some of it was not needed at all. That's why I was saying it was more written for young adult than adult. This Delilah S. Dawson has wrote 3 other books I haven't read yet. This book comes off of Phasma, which she also wrote as well. So I'm eager to read that. I do have that in my library. Um, and I also have other books other than Star Wars. I love history, so I do have history. I have Battlestar Galactica. I just sold all my Assassin's Creed and I had all the what's his face the dragons and all that. I sold all that, so I can't. And when downsizing, you can't keep everything. So it does touch on the main character's name is Vi. So I'm not going to try to spoil it for anybody that wants to read it. If you've never read a Star Wars book, I would point you in other directions. This is mainly to get you familiar with characters and why Black Spire Outpost is at the Galaxy's Edge is where it's at and why it's there and what's going on. She goes there basically to set up a rebel camp and runs into different characters. Of course, there's got to be a gangster leader, in a Jabba Hutt type of realm. Her name is Olga. And they have different characters that help her, some characters that don't care, they just want money. She saves a person from a shop owner. It's the same type of stuff you see in other movies, that saving Anakin and things like that. Just it was that type of deal. No actual Jedi other than Princess Leia. She's only on comms, but she's not a Jedi. They do have Force believer cult that are scrappers, but they believe in the Force and all of that, but they're not Force users, kind of like the two guys in Rogue One. So it is that, and then there is an antagonist named what is it, Wolfhan or something like that, and Lieutenant comes down to try to because Vi is a spy they've been looking for, and she captured a cardinal. So one time, little backstory on this cardinal guy. He's a captain. He fought Captain Phasma. That's why it starts in Phasma and rolls over. Ajax, I guess the character was in that book. So I saw one time they sell Galaxy Edge figures in stores, and I saw a red one, and it was Cardinal. I haven't read the books yet and got that far in the books, so so they do sell figures and everything else from books and cartoons, and that's what I really like about the franchise. It's all together. They try to loop it all together. Sometimes they force feed it, but they loop it. And then you're going to ask, well, Disney, when they bought it, they started their own canon, right? So not everything that was in the previous canon is now called Legends. And I can go over that more when I read a Legends book and we talk about it. Because I am also in the middle of reading Star Wars Shadowfall, an Alphabet Squadron novel. That is part of a trilogy, which you'll find that most of the books, just like the movies, are in. This, to me, is more of a one-off, even though it comes off of Phasma. It's really not part of Phasma. They just use, and you'll see that in all the books. People cross over. The Shadow Falls part, they use part of the comic books. It tells you right in there. They even have a snippet in one of them of the comic book to tell you how the story, where it crosses over. So it's pretty cool. But to get back to Galaxy's Edge, I don't even have to tell you how it ends. You kind of guess it, but it tells you why, the bad guys are on the planet. It tells you why the things are there, the characters that you meet at when you go to visit the place. So I plan on going there hopefully next year. If not, definitely the year after, because I do have some two places I want to travel to next year. So it's going to probably get moved back another year. But if I can wheels and deal some connections, because I want to stay at the expensive place that's kind of fits into it. If I'm going to do it, I want to do it. You know, I don't want to halfway do it. So and have regrets. So that's why they make credit cards. And that's, I mean, I look at that type of thing and I start now, okay, I got to start saving up money for stuff like that. So that's why you hear me when I'm talking about cards, you know, I like to go and do things, you know, if it's just going to the Chicago card show and stuff, you know, I think of other things too. I love to go to places. So that's Galaxy's Edge. Not a great novel if you want to get into the Star Wars world. But if you want to learn about that place at the Disney, that's what it was made for. And I'm not going to rate them or anything like that, but I would, if you want to get into it, I would suggest something much better. If you want to get into the Star Wars worlds and you watch the movies, or even if you haven't, I would get one of the companion books because the books are much more in depth than the movies, but it also helps you visualize the world and all that. Or a movie or one of the books that kind of come off of one of those movies or going into it. So you kind of have a reference point of what's going on. That's just my 2 cents. There is some trilogies out there that I'll get into at a later date that I love. I've talked about it before on my regular channel. But on this, just to let you know, on this channel, you won't see any cards. I'll deal with the cards on my cards channel. This is going to be, you know, my nerdy stuff. I'm going to talk about video games, books, other collections I do, movies, TV shows. You know, I want to watch my last. I've been putting it off, but I need to finish The Walking Dead and I need to finish Andor. I got one of each to watch, and when I do, I will talk about that. I did have a lot of Walking Dead stuff, but I just couldn't have it in didn't have room in my apartment, so I sold that all off. Kept my comic books, but sold off my figures. I still have all my cards up though. But so until next time, thanks for watching. I know this is different. If you want to put something down or something else you want me to talk about on this, please let me know. Something if you watched, if you want me to be, you know, something that I should, you know, go watch on TV, play a game, read a book. Something else other than, you know, what I show. I love all like ideas, anything you want me to go more in depth in. I know on this book reports, I'm kind of nervous. I'm going in too much on how it is. I want to go in more about how it's written, main characters, kind of just the overall picture. I don't want to go in and give spoilers and things like that. Because even though these books have been out for a while, a lot of them, it's just such a large canon. I don't know how people are reading them, the order they're reading them, and things like that. Or if they want to read them, I don't want to take away that fun. Does get your mind going. It does, you know, it's great to go into. Some of these books just put you right into the world of Star Wars. So until next time, see ya.